The NFL draft is over, and now it's time to talk about the winners and the losers from round one of the 2022 NFL draft. Now, obviously, the draft is a very long process. We won't actually know the results for a few years probably, but just looking at a bird's eye view, here's the people and the teams that I think did the best. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. How did your team do, and who was the biggest winner of the night? And before we get too far in, let me introduce myself. My name is Bradley with Allaqcess Sports. We cover everything from fantasy football, fantasy baseball, DraftKings with our sleepers, studs, and stacks for the NFL season. And we live stream games over on the Purple Network. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Starting things off, it would be a big shame to not mention the New York Jets. They get Ahmad Gardner with the 4th pick. I didn't like that they passed on Thibodeau at first, but getting Sauce Gardner is one of the best cornerbacks in the league, so I really liked that pick. Then you go and get Garrett Wilson, who's probably the best wide receiver. I think most analysts had him as the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. That's going to be a huge upgrade for Zach Wilson and that growing Jets offense. And then finally, you jump back into the draft in the first round and go and get Jermaine Johnson so you can get another edge rusher. Robert Saleh has to be ecstatic to get 2 really good defenders in round 1 of the draft. The next team that I want to give a shout out to would be the Baltimore Ravens. You trade away Marquise Brown, but you get a first-round pick back for him. That is huge. And you go and get a guy that was arguably the best talent in the draft. A few months ago, people were talking about Kyle Hamilton having the opportunity to possibly be the number 1 overall pick, the safety out of Notre Dame. That is a huge grab for the Baltimore Ravens. And then you get back into the draft later on with Tyler Linderbaum. That Iowa boy has that country boy strength. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he eats. But I want that man to be guiding my offensive line. It's a great replacement for Bozeman. And lastly, my big winner of the night would be the Philadelphia Eagles. Not necessarily just because of the draft, but also the trade. You get Jordan Davis, who's going to be a great replacement for Fletcher Cox when he does end up leaving, unfortunately. Jordan Davis, one of the most dominant forces in college football. Everyone from that Georgia defense is an NFL caliber talent. So you get Jordan Davis, and then you go out and get A.J. Brown. Only 24 years old, but he is a big, physical, fast, athletic, a freakish wide receiver for Jalen Hurts. And it's going to be what I think, a match made in freaking heaven for the Philadelphia Eagles. They added 2 very good pieces in the draft, one through trade. And I think A.J. Brown, only 24 years old. It's going to be a lot of money, but that is a win now move, and I absolutely love it. Honorable mentions time. As you can see behind me, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. I think they absolutely love their draft. They didn't do anything special. They didn't have to do anything special. The 3 best offensive linemen were still there when they got to pick. Don't think they could have made a wrong move, but I love the fact that they were able to keep the Charlotte boy home and grab Icky for that offensive line to help out Sam Darnold and, most importantly, Christian McCaffrey. And then the next shout out is going to have to go to the New York Giants. What exactly did they do? Well, they get Kayvon Thibodeau, an explosive defensive end, and then 2 picks later take Evan Neal, who most people think was the best offensive lineman in the entire draft. Everyone knows a football team starts up front, and now you have 2 essential pieces for many years to come. Now's the point in the show where we kind of make a couple people mad because we're going to talk about the losers of round 1 of the NFL draft 2022. We're going to have to start off with the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, I don't hate the move of getting an offensive lineman for them, but Tyler Smith, he had his issues, right? He was called for, 17 holding penalties on the season? He's a very raw talent. He's going to take some work, but he's going to be put into a Dallas Cowboys media circus that wants to win now. If he is ineffective very early on, he is going to be pounded and hounded into the ground. I don't think it's a good place for someone that has had foul trouble to get their career start. Could be a great pick. However, Tyler Smith's going to take a lot of work. The next pick shouldn't really come as much of a surprise from 22 and 28. It's the Green Bay Packers. I like Quay Walker. He was a great linebacker. And Devontae Wyatt, a very good defensive tackle. The Packers clearly have to help that defense because no matter who you have with Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be able to put up points regardless of what you think of him overall. His offense is always putting up points. They have 2 great running backs. The problem is they still haven't addressed the wide receiver problem. That could come much later in the draft, but I think round 1, you probably should have taken a wide receiver. Some of these great talents, maybe trade up, might not have been in their cards. Don't love the picks. I like it, but I don't love it. I think you missed out on getting a wide receiver, but they'll probably address it in day 2 and 3, as well as there is a lot of free agents still available. And finally, one of my losers of the night, maybe technically not a loser. They did get some capital back, but I think for the Tennessee Titans, it hurts more so losing A.J. Brown than gaining Treylon Burks. Do I like Treylon Burks? Absolutely. Do I love A.J. Brown? 100%. He's 24 years old and is a freakish athlete. Yes, I get it. The Titans are a run-first offense. Everything runs through Derrick Henry. But A.J. Brown was a difference maker. He made a bunch of clutch catches. They've added Austin Hooper, who's probably going to be a replacement tight end for Jonnu Smith that left a few years ago. But you don't have A.J. Brown. You don't have the Corey Davis from a few years ago. Everything's going to be running through Derrick Henry. Defenses really don't have to worry about the wide receivers as much, and I expect them to fully load the box against the Tennessee Titans. Can Derrick Henry still do it? Absolutely. Have you seen the hamstrings and thighs on that man? That man could run through a brick wall faster than the Kool-Aid man. And an honorable mention, but I don't want to say it because I'm probably going to be proven wrong, because the Patriots absolutely never miss. Very late in the draft, they take Cole Strange, the offensive lineman, out of where? Chattanooga? Yeah, out of Chattanooga with the 29th pick. The New England Patriots selected him. I think it was a bit of a reach. A lot of people were looking at him to go between 100 and 125 in the draft. So was it a reach? Yeah, you could have taken him later. But clearly you see something in him that you absolutely love. I'm never going to doubt the Patriots. They just seem to hit every single time. So you won't hear any hate from me. Honorable mention, but I'm not calling you a loser. That's going to do it for this video. Keep checking back in because we're going to have fantasy football content all throughout the year. Our Draftkings sleepers, studs, and stacks will return once football season starts, and we are always talking football, fantasy baseball, fantasy sports, anything and everything on Twitter. You can find it across the top of your screen or in the description below. My name is, again, Bradley with Allaqcess Sports. Join me and the rest of the team as we get into this football season. I love talking sports. I want to hear your opinions. How did your team do? Who is your biggest winner? Who is your biggest loser? Come back for day 2 and day 3, 4, 5, 6 after the NFL draft, because we'll be talking about all the picks, all of our favorite storylines, and all of our least favorite storylines as well. Appreciate you watching the video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you next time.